Welcome to Own the Season podcast. We will talk to industry insiders along with outdoor enthusiasts to help you own your season. Now let's join hosts Art and Michelle Helen with Brad Jones. Own the Season podcast is sponsored by Griffin Armament, the oldest privately owned silencer manufacturer in the United States. Go to griffinarmament.com to learn how you can get a silencer shipped to your door. Griffin Armament. Engineered silence.
Hello and welcome to Own the Season podcast. I'm Michelle Helen along with Art Helen, and it's just the two of us today.
It is.
And which has been a while.
I don't know. Have we ever done one just the two of us?
Well, maybe not. Maybe it's always been at least three people. I don't know. What a treat for our listeners just to have the two of us. Today, I think we're talking about turkeys and turkey hunting.
Well, why not? We're still in the middle of turkey season.
Well, you say that like it's a good thing. And it is a good thing, but it's also, for us, I think, turkey season's really long for us. And it is also, seems like it's like all encompassing. It's like all our life revolves around turkey season. I think.
Right now, you're right.
Like, why would we talk about turkeys? Because that's all we're doing. It's like eat, sleep, repeat.
And I'm at the point in the year that I hate them. It's a love-hate relationship, and right now I hate them because we're just ending the fourth season here and kind of transitioning into that.
The fourth regular season.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, as far as transitioning into that, post-breeding end of things. So the birds are getting really goofy, henned up super, super hard right now, this fourth season. And, we're still making it work, but man, the first, I don't know, 3 seasons, and then the youth and the learn to hunt, and
you were making it look easy.
It was easy.
Now you're having to work harder, aren't you?
I am, and it's frustrating. I mean, it was easy. I think the only my own personal took the longest during second season, but other than that, I think the longest hunt I had out of all the people was maybe 3 hours, maybe.
And that was an extreme. I think the average was more like 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was...
and then the 3 hour one was an outlier. So yeah, I mean, I've had the pleasure of sitting with you and filming here this current time period, and then of course hearing your I'm getting the updates and kind of the Cliff Notes version of what's happening when I haven't been sitting with you, but it's definitely been a struggle. And so, like, what are you, I know you're, planning to go out right after we finish this. What are you going to do? What are you going to try that's different to see if it works?
God, I don't know.
What have you been trying?
And I planned on tomorrow too, but then I looked at the weather and they're talking rain and just a little bit of rain, but they're talking 40, 45 mile an hour gusts. And man, that makes it hard. It makes it hard to hear. It makes it hard to be comfortable. It makes, there's a lot of things, and turkeys get really spooky, in the wind. They don't like doing what turkeys do. They kind of hunker down and they'll move, but it's not the same. So yeah, I kind of want to get out there this afternoon and see if I can finish, the second tag on a high note. But I don't know what I'm going to do different. This morning I did something different because the other day I had a Jake decoy out, sitting on top of the breeding hen and a feeder hen off to the side. And it just seemed like they were really nervous about that. They didn't want to come in. They didn't want to commit to do their thing. And they'd commit to 70, 75 yards. Now I did have one commit that I could have shot, but I sent you that text and said
So I mean, I guess you have to say no, but you did. That was with removing the breeding Jake.
yes, that one there was
Okay.
not a Jake on. That one was just the breeding hen and a feeding hen.
Because you did, like, when we sat together when you were hunting, we had a initial encounter with some turkeys, and then you did, run out and pull that decoy, and then we continued to sit
Yes.
for the rest of the afternoon, and we didn't have any come in. That the other group didn't come in that evening either.
No, and that was those two toms, we had two toms, and we had a hen
They
walk.
were with hens. I mean, they
Yeah.
were with hens.
But the
Yeah.
hens walked right through the decoy set, and because I thought maybe that Jake, they didn't like that the two toms kind of skirted us at, probably 40, 45 yards, but down over the hill where we couldn't really see them,
Yeah.
which still I'm hunting with a bow, so
Well,
you
those you couldn't have even shot. I mean, you could have when they were up high. Yeah, they could have been. You could have shot at them with a shotgun, but they just dropped over, and you
Right.
could have shot them with anything then at that point.
right. And for us, again, we're also, other than the podcast, we're trying to produce a TV show of, that's entertainment. So the bird the other day, I sent you that text that said, I could have just shot a boring tom. Which,
So now we're not really practicing quality turkey management, although you do have that multiple bearded tom. I know that you're hoping you can get, but now we're judging and not shooting the boring ones.
well, I don't need to just.
Can you explain to the listeners what your boring tom is?
Well, I've already taken one bird this year, so I don't necessarily need to take another bird, right?
True.
So again, trying to get better footage, trying to get social media footage, trying to also understand the birds and understand what they're doing because I've got 3 hunters coming in this next week, but just really trying to figure out and understand birds. And so for me, it's about the footage. It's about the education for people, trying to get that bird doing certain things on film. And when they're a boring bird, so this bird is what I'm calling a boring bird. So this gobbler comes in, he doesn't gobble once, he doesn't strut once, he does nothing. He stands there at 18 yards, looks at the decoy a little bit, feeds a little bit, and then just walks right on through and out the other side. And I'm just like, that to me is just filling another tag where
Which anybody else is happy to do.
exactly to
Like,
anybody
perfectly
else.
fine. Yeah.
Fill it, have fun,
Yeah.
enjoy it. But for me, I don't get what I need out of that for the
Right.
education
Yeah.
part.
And what did you have out for decoys when he came in?
Just
The two hens?
Yep, just the two hens. Now, this morning I went out and hunted that multi-bearded bird. I've seen him multiple times in one area. And so I got there, I got set up, and it was quiet for like the first hour. Finally, I got a bird to gobble, and he has a very distinct gobble, this bird does. And so instantly I knew it was him. So I started cranking on him, and he answered me, and I was like, man, this bird is like 5 farms over, right? And good luck. And 45 minutes later, he like literally, I hear him gobble on and off, getting closer. Well, then he shuts up for like 20 minutes, and the next thing I know is he hammers right behind me. And I'm like, all right, he's coming. So I get the camera on, I get everything set up.
Sure, he's here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's there. So I get my bow, and I'm like, the only hard part is he's got to cross the fence yet. Well, then I hear him gobble at the fence. So I make a couple real soft calls.
How far is the fence?
Well, where they cross is about 25 yards.
Okay.
And he came underneath that fence, and then he got on this side of the fence, and he stood there for almost full 2 hours and did nothing but turn around in circles, strut and gobble, and never once came far enough out for me to get an archery shot.
What do you think why not? What do you think was happening?
I don't know. I didn't have a Jake in there.
So is he wondering why aren't the hens coming over to me?
Yes, I believe
Because that's what they
that,
do in nature. I mean, I think it's really easy for us to lose sight of that with everything that we do with our decoys and our calling, because we're obviously most of the time we're calling the turkeys. We're calling them to us. Like you try to put yourself in a place where the turkeys naturally want to be and where they're traveling to raise our success rates, but we're really calling them to us, the toms to us, which in nature the hens go to the toms
100%.
So at so he might have been like, I just traveled from 5 farms over and traveled however far that was. You can come, why aren't you coming this last little bit
Right.
to meet me? Yeah.
And I think that's it. And I think he got to that point, and also that farm has been hunted pretty hard this year. I had a hunter in there earlier this week that missed a bird, and then we had another bird in close and fell off their chair, and as they tried to turn around, made a bunch of noise and spooked that bird. So I mean, a lot of these birds, the ones that haven't died on that farm, have also become educated. So I think it's kind of a combination of everything that, yeah, why aren't you coming to me? I've seen this setup now a lot of times, and I've seen, a couple of my buddies die and a few of them get shot at. So I think I'm just going to hang here. Now, if I would have had a shotgun with me, he would have died.
Sure.
Possibly. I mean, you've seen me shoot a shotgun before, so
there would have been a trigger pulled.
Yes, there would have been lead flying. I don't know if things would have been dying, but there would have been lead flying. So, yeah. So I don't know what it was, and I don't know what to do different this evening when I go out.
Okay, are you taking the 410?
I've thought about it just for footage. I've thought about it because this bird has a lot of beards. I don't know how many for sure, but if I had that bird come in,
well, because the one thing, the 410 is small enough, you could take it and your bow pretty easily, more easily than like a big 12 gauge or something.
Yeah, but then again, I've got, you've got to pack in your bow, your decoys, all my camera gear, so you're packing a lot of stuff already, and
I know.
So I don't know. I mean, that's a good question.
Because really and truly, you'd be, if you were the average turkey hunter, you could have shot at 2 different toms
this week
in the past few days.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So you'd be done, and so really, like, everything worked, and maybe it was like, I think, removing that Jake decoy seemed to be a factor.
Yeah, and it's so that time of year that you should be starting to think about it.
Yeah. So we got that. Anything do you think that's you've been changing with your calling this week, or is that really dependent on the individual birds?
Yeah, I mean, Right now, I'm getting a little bit more aggressive when they're gobbling. Um, if they're gobbling and answering me, I want to hit them pretty hard right now. And the same coming up because a lot of hens are on nest already. You've got less hens, so they're really starting to look for those. And what's going to happen here in the next few days, I think, going into these last seasons, is even these birds that are gobbling a lot right now, I think they're going to get quiet. They're going to get quieter and quieter, looking for those last hens. And that's why I'm starting to remove the Jake, is because they've been in so many fights. They've been beat up, or they've beat so many other birds up that now they don't want that competition. They just want to sneak in there, breed the last birds that they have to breed, and move on to the next ones. And so they're even going to quit gobbling. And that might be part of it, is this bird has been in enough fights that he's like, I'm just going to sit out here on the outskirts and make them come to me. Because if I go to them, is there another bird lurking ready to fight me?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's just, it's a weird transition time right now. And, sitting here thinking about the question with the 410, I'm thinking to myself, with the hunters that I have coming in this week, I have a young gentleman that, just got done battling cancer, and he's never shot a turkey, and his uncle is coming with him and has never shot a turkey. And so more than likely I probably won't. And I'm just going to wait for the footage, what I can get tonight for myself. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to leave that bird alone for a few days here. And if we can't get him something at a different farm, I know, unless this bird changes patterns, I know where he's at, kind of hanging. And so I'd rather honestly have, if I can't pull it off with the bow with the footage I need, I guess I would rather have one of them
Sure.
shoot this bird.
Sure.
Because
I think you brought up, I think you talking though about like another thing with you saying, that the the toms, maybe they're not gobbling for various reasons. That's a good reminder to us all that it's often worth sticking it out and staying put and waiting until you really have to leave to go in, whether that's end of season or end of shooting hours, or like I'm hunting this morning and I've got to go into work, or I've got these appointments or whatever it might be. But don't leave just because you're not hearing anything.
Right.
Because we've all been busted doing that. You hear something and you maybe wait for 20 minutes and then leave, and then you go to stand up or step out of the blind, and there they are.
Yeah, seen that way too much, even on trail cameras.
Times. Yeah, and I think, maybe we hadn't seen them; they weren't quite that close, but then you see it later. Yeah, and I think there's definitely different parts of the country and different areas where that run and gun technique is really successful. That does depend on the birds being vocal. And I think, we've been seeing over the years where our birds generally have been a little less vocal. The run and gun just hasn't worked well in Southwest Wisconsin. I know you had a client that came from Minnesota, experienced turkey hunter, and that's how he had always hunted. That's how he wanted to do it. And he came here and hunted for like 3-4 days, run and gun, and with no success. And then finally conceded to, maybe you're right. Maybe I should stay put. And then got one. But I think that's something to keep in mind. Like they might be coming in, but they are just quiet.
And yeah, and especially now because the foliage, before you didn't have, all the foliage out there earlier, the first couple weeks. Well, now everything's starting to bud, get green, leaves are starting, so now they have more cover, so they're going to be quieter. Plus, you think you have cover moving. They're going to see you way before you see them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Just a fact, and
Yeah.
that was like that guy from Minnesota, he's like, and I said, okay, we'll play your game the first couple days. But I said, when that game is done, and you haven't killed one, we're going to play my game. I said, the big thing is when he would hear a gobble, okay, let's go chase it. And if you're reaping turkeys, okay, I understand that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to go across the field reaping turkeys. And if you know that nobody is there and it's private land, whatever, you know what? That's your choice. If that's how you want to kill turkeys, yes, it's fun, it's cool. But I had a friend get shot in the face here a couple years ago on public land.
It's inherently more dangerous. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, there was another shooting here in Wisconsin this year, somebody reaping a turkey. So it's not the safest thing in the world to be doing. Is it fun? Sure. But you know what? You can kill just as many turkeys doing it the right way. I mean, not saying that's the wrong way, but doing it a safer way. Let's put it that way. And because of some of the hunters that I take that, are wheelchair, they're in a wheelchair, or, there's other issues going on, or, they're sick from cancer treatments, whatever. So they aren't mobile, right? Or like my dad, as he's getting older, he's not as mobile. I always say one thing is, patience kills turkeys. Movement moves birds. And the more you try to move, the more you educate them and move them. If you need to sit in one spot and you know that there's a lot of birds there, wait them out.
Yeah.
And take their temperature. Do what you got to do. But turkeys don't have anything to do. We do. We have to go, do certain things. Michelle's got to get to the hospital to work, or I have to build social media, edit TV shows. I've got things I got to do with companies. So we all have work to do. Turkeys don't. They just, they basically, wake up in the morning, shake themselves off the roost. They fly down, they eat, they drink, they breed, and they go to the bathroom and mill around. That's it. That's all they got to do all day long and survive. And we don't. We have things we got to do. So it's, for them, you need to wait them out because they're going to run their route.
They're going to be there. I mean, that's the thing. They're going to be there. I do think that, one thing that's happening right now too. So we've talked about, maybe only putting out hen decoys. We've talked about, the patience, and the toms might be coming in more quiet right now. Another thing we're seeing is farmers are out in the fields. We're getting fields planted. So the turkeys' patterns throughout that middle portion of the day can be changing a little bit because they're feeding and pecking around. So we've got places where maybe we're set up where you're kind of close to roost, and you're hunting them close to roost, or where they might be going to roost at night, kind of in the evening coming back. But if you're setting up on kind of more of somewhere else in their kind of travel corridor, in that loop that they're making throughout the day and milling around, like that can be changing kind of rapidly with fields being planted.
Oh, big time.
And or tilled, or just farming equipment, the farmers in the field. So there's activity, more human activity and disturbance around. But then they're going to be the turkeys are going to be back in there eating the seed, pecking the seeds out, and things too. So that's, I think, something that's going to be impacting us here too coming up.
Yeah, and it is, and some of them 2 weeks ago already planted. Some are just planting now. So it's going to move these birds. You've got fresh seed get put in the ground for them, but then you also have, fresh plants just popping out of the ground. So they're going to be trying to pull those out in different fields. So your food sources are changing every day right now. And so where are those birds, because of the foliage, because of the food sources? Water is, we had so much water earlier because so much rain. Well, now it's starting to dry out some, that now you got to figure out where they're water. So they're all changing, and it's a constant, either you drive around in glass and look for birds, or you run, off your cameras, or you're just out there trying to figure out where they are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then you just make a plan and hope that the plan, is right. Like I said, now all of a sudden these birds don't want to fight. They don't want to do things. So let's get rid of that Jake decoy and just go to hens. And just look at the way that the season, each week changes from their, pre-breeding to breeding to post-breeding and what they're doing. I mean, they're still going to have some breeding going on, but there's an awful lot of hens on nest right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's, again, it's an ever-changing thing day by day, and it gets very frustrating, because early in the year, again, it was pretty easy. You knew where they were, you knew what they were going to do. The food wasn't in the ground yet. It was wet. It was like, all right, I know where the hens are. I know the birds are going to be here. Let's go get this done. Shoot it so we can go to breakfast in the morning and do what we got to do now. And also the weather is crazy. Like this morning, I mean, we're sitting here mid-May and it's like 34 degrees.
Yeah, and it was even colder. It was even colder 4 days ago.
Yeah, and the winds, like I said, tomorrow is crazy. I'm probably going to have to go take a blind down in one of the food plots because there's no way. I mean, that thing isn't covered at all. It's in the middle of nowhere on the highest ridge, and they're talking 40-mile-an-hour gusts tomorrow. That blind will be gone. So, when I get done hunting tonight, I'm probably going to have to drive out on that ridge and pull that.
Yeah. And really, like you were talking earlier, like the turkeys don't like the wind. Really, no animals. They all tend to get pretty anxious. They're nervous in the wind because it's taking away their hearing. And to some degree, and also potentially picking up movement can be difficult too. If all the leaves and trees and everything else is moving, it's a little harder for animals maybe to pick up on other what might be a predator. So things are nervous in the wind. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Any little they're already kind of anxious, so anything else kind of puts them over the top.
Yeah, and I don't like the wind because I can't hear.
Yeah,
I can't.
You don't either.
I
no
can't
fun.
see. I can't. It's like, is that something moving over there, or is it just a tree getting blown around? And so yeah, I mean, you got to look at it from that perspective. Can you kill them in the wind? Absolutely. Does it make it more difficult? Absolutely. So, it's it's still fun to be out there. Again, with the love-hate relationship. And of course, when it's done in another 2 weeks, I'll be like, eh. But then fishing season is, right around the corner. So I'll enjoy my evenings in a boat when I get that time and enjoy that where it's not so stressful that we, need to be, producing footage and getting footage and being out there, all the time where, once that starts, it's like, no, tonight I think I'm going to sit around a campfire. Yeah, let's go fishing tonight.
This is kind of our last, turkey season's kind of our last hurrah before we get a little bit of a break from some of the busyness and get into our summer stuff. But we need to go so you can get out there.
I agree.
And give it another try tonight. So I think that, the things to think about if you're out there turkey hunting now as we transition into this later part of the season, depending on where you're listening from, some key takeaways would be to evaluate your decoy setup and consider doing hens only. Be aware that the toms might be less vocal. So continue to be patient and continue your scouting efforts or reevaluate, do some, if you haven't like really put in a lot of effort scouting, now might be the time to check your trail cameras, drive around and observe with your, binoculars from the roads if you need to, as the turkeys might be changing their patterns as the food sources are changing.
Yeah, that's all great, amazing advice. You ever thought about writing a book?
Well, I don't know. I bet I've read one a bazillion times. So there you have it. Get out there and enjoy the rest of the turkey season and own your season.
Follow Own the Season Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening.
Check back weekly for new episodes.